Hello everyone, today we're going to watch a video titled Shock Live on Air, Putin Totally Shut Down an American Journalist from NATO, Making Him Flee the Room. I don't know, I found the title pretty amusing. I love these kinds of videos, when someone can respond to attacks in a really sharp, tough way. I hope this is that kind of video. Well, let's watch. Let's go.
Greetings, friends. Not long ago, the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, held a direct line conference where anyone could ask the head of our state a question directly. And once again, at such an event, that same provocative American journalist from NBC News made an appearance. The one who, back in 2021, persistently tried to get under the Russian president's skin during an interview.
Yes.
Let us recall that in that interview, the journalist tried in every way to offend Putin or portray him in a bad light.
Let me ask you a question about human rights. This is an issue that President Biden will raise. Mr. President, he will talk about Alexei Navalny, about various murders, about who is now in prison. Why are you so afraid of the opposition, Mr. President?
Who told you that we are afraid of the opposition?
Yes. So my very first question is, who said that we are supposedly afraid?
Afraid of the opposition. Who told you that? You see, even this is laughable.
They label you as foreign agents, and this actually causes a serious disruption in their activities. So dissent is no longer tolerated in Russia.
You present it as dissent and intolerance of dissent in Russia. We see it completely differently. You mentioned the law on foreign agents, but that's not our invention. That was...
Exactly. There is such a law in America and in Europe as well. So, well...
Back in the 1930s, the law on foreign agents was adopted in the US, and it is much stricter than ours. Really, do you want me to answer? Do you want me to answer?
Mr. President, I just wanted to say that in America, what you are doing right now is something we often call, well, what about you? Why don't you take a look at yourselves instead? It is that kind of response, right? We see it quite a bit where the focus is shifted back onto the other person.
I will take a look. I will take a look right now.
I'll ask a direct question, an honest one.
No, let me answer. You asked me a question. You don't like my answer, and you interrupt me right away. That's not fair.
And once again, this time, the American journalist is up to his old tricks. Apparently, his previous experience taught him nothing. Or perhaps, let's say, past grievances played a role.
Now I see our American journalist colleagues. I see NBC right in the middle there.
Mr. President Keir Simmons, 2 questions if you allow me. The first one. It concerns President-elect Trump. Mr. President, you have not been able to achieve the objectives of the special military operation. A large number of Russians have died, including a general who was the target of an assassination attempt here in Moscow this week. And the head of Syria, whom you supported, has been removed from power. Mr. President, when you meet with President Trump, you will be a weaker leader. How do you plan to proceed? What can you offer as a compromise?
You have raised the question regarding exactly what kind of proposals we can offer, or perhaps what I personally can offer, to the newly elected President Trump during our upcoming scheduled meeting. Well, first of all, I don't know when we will meet because he hasn't said anything about it. I haven't spoken with him at all for more than 4 years, and of course I'm ready for this at any time and would also be ready for a meeting if he wants it. You said that this conversation would take place in a situation where I would be in some kind of weakened state. Dear colleague, why do I say dear? Because despite all the persecution of our press, we allow you to work in Russia, and you do so freely.
A very precise, clear remark. Like, if there's no freedom of speech, then, well, what's happening right now? I mean, it's not some kind of sycophantic question or anything. Oh, why are you so cool? No, there was actually some kind of challenge here. You messed up here, and this isn't right there. You're basically good for nothing. So what do you have to say to that?
That's already something. You and those people who pay your salary in the United States would very much like Russia to be in a weakened position. I hold a different point of view. I believe that Russia has become much stronger over the past 2 or 3 years. Why? Because we are becoming a truly sovereign country. We hardly depend on anyone anymore. We are able to stand firmly on our own feet economically. I've already spoken about the pace of our economic development. We are also strengthening our defense capabilities. and the overall combat readiness and preparedness of our armed forces today is, I am stating this today with absolute and unwavering confidence, at the very highest level found anywhere in the world. The internal psychological state and morale of the Russian troops is such that perhaps no other army in the world has anything quite like it today. That is exactly why I firmly believe that Russia, to a very significant extent, is now in the state that we have been consistently striving and working toward for many years. It has grown stronger. It has become a truly sovereign country. And we will make decisions without any regard for someone else's opinion. We will be guided solely by our own national interests.
This is just a small excerpt from the words of the President of the Russian Federation. Now, together with you, we'll take a closer look at what exactly Vladimir Vladimirovich said that was so important to our overseas journalist colleague. However, let's note one very important point. After the rather dignified response from the Russian leader, the representative of the American press, shifting a bit in his seat, decided to leave the event.
That's exactly what they put in the headline, like he made him...
This is shown in footage published by journalist Pavel Zarubin on his Telegram channel, noting that apparently the American journalist was afraid to answer questions from his colleagues after the event. It's understandable, really, it doesn't even need to be commented on. But let's get back to Putin.
No, overall it's pretty funny, of course. Overall it really turned out to be a funny shot. It's unlikely that his goal was to avoid being caught and, cornered after the interview. What are you even saying? It's just that he ducked down and quickly slipped through so as not to bother anyone. That's most likely what happened, I'd guess. But overall, the shot really did turn out to be funny.
So the discussion was about the most pressing topics: foreign policy, the economy, and of course, they didn't forget about the military strength of our motherland. Putin's response, I must say, was spot on. It demonstrates the Kremlin's confidence and hints at how relations with the US will be built under the new president, that very Donald Trump. Let's go over the main points, and at the same time try to predict what all this might lead to on the world stage. So what did our president talk about? He spoke about the special operation in Ukraine, the situation in Syria, and didn't forget to mention future meetings with Trump. He emphasized that Russia, supposedly, has only grown stronger in recent years, despite all the machinations of ill-wishers. He said that we have strengthened our sovereignty and increased our defense capabilities, so we are ready to act in our own interests without looking back at the West. Well, there you have it. So much for Yuriev Day. Vladimir Vladimirovich started with Ukraine. Of course, the American journalist did not miss the chance to point out that the stated objectives of the operation have not yet been achieved and that Russian military losses are significant. But Putin countered by saying that, yes, there are difficulties, but there have also been successes. And in general, our army is now rock solid. We're producing new weapons, strengthening our defense capabilities, everything as it should be. He did admit, of course, that there are losses, and they are significant, but he emphasized that the operation will continue anyway, because its goals are strategically important for the security of the state. As they say, war is war. And Vladimir Vladimirovich also didn't miss the chance to criticize the West and NATO. Supposedly, all they think about is how to preserve and strengthen their military power, despite all the economic troubles. And as for those who once imposed a slew of sanctions against the Russian Federation, now they're fully reaping the backlash. According to Putin, the European Union is heading for an economic downturn, so they won't be able to support Ukraine for much longer. NATO's budget is growing and ammunition is getting more expensive, so now they found themselves in an unenviable position, and with each passing month, things just keep getting worse and worse. Putin then moved on to Syria, where, as is well known, Russia has repeatedly made its presence felt by supporting Bashar al-Assad. When asked about Russia's role in the Syrian conflict and how our interests align with the current situation, Putin gave a clear answer: we have no intention of leaving the region. According to him, the situation in Syria is stabilizing, though not without its problems.
Exactly. They were overthrown. Exactly. The old government fled and a new one came to power, but even with the new government in Syria, Russia was able to reach an agreement. The military bases remained, so diplomatically everything is under control. So what's the difference really?
Supposedly they managed to keep the militants in check and maintain security in the Middle East. And of course, the Russian leader couldn't avoid the topic of relations with the newly elected American president, that very Donald Trump. He stated that he is ready to meet, even though they haven't spoken for more than 4 years. And this is where things start to get really interesting. First of all, Putin openly admits that relations between Russia and the US are now like ice and fire, but he's ready for dialogue, which can be seen as a signal for reconciliation, if, of course, America wants that too. Secondly, Putin is not afraid to appear weak compared to Trump. On the contrary, he emphasizes that in recent years, Russia has only become stronger, more independent, and more sovereign. He says that we are independent from the West and its European lackeys. We make our own decisions based on our own interests. Our defense industry is on the rise, we are improving our weapons, and we are producing more ammunition. We have everything we need. And the further we go, the better it gets. The more independent our state becomes, and the less it depends on foreign partners. And it doesn't matter whom exactly he means. The direction of the state is now aimed at self-sufficiency. And even though such problems can't be solved in a short time, we can already see the results of such a wise decision across the country, the president concluded. And what do you think about his speech? Write your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to...
Well, that's the video we just watched. It turned out to be quite a concise response to all sorts of, to put it mildly, unfriendly attacks. And I recommend you watch this video right here. Like and subscribe. Goodbye, everyone.